Hello Rossoneri, this is AC Milan Talk. We are ready for a new weekly episode with all the going song of our club, both on and off the pitch. Here with me, my two friends of this AC Milan Talk. Welcome to Sheridan Bird.
Hello Alicia, great to see you. Hello to everybody at home. Hello to Adriano as well.
Hi Adriano, welcome.
Hello guys, great to be with you as always.
How are you?
I'm doing very well. Still enjoying some summer here in Australia. Enjoyed the Champions League midweek. Certainly enjoyed that performance and looking forward to the weekend.
It's very beautiful here in Milan. It's very cold, but
that's okay. It's winter.
Okay, yeah.
It's nearly Christmas, everyone. So it's Adriano's enjoying the lovely warm weather, so we're happy for him, and we're a tiny bit jealous.
There's plenty of talking points today, so let's start with our men's first team. Winning wasn't enough to go through in the Champions League, but thanks to the final result of the match against Newcastle, we will play in Europa League in 2024, Sheridan.
Yeah, I think there were three possibilities for the fixture. There was the worst-case scenario, was going out of Europe completely. The dream, let's say, the best-case scenario was qualifying for the knockout stages of the UEFA Champions League. Milan, though, didn't go out completely of Europe, will play in the Europa League, as you suggested, which is still a prestigious tournament, and it's still something that Milan can aim for. This club have never won the Europa League or its predecessors, and last night's performance really showed character. That's the opening goal from Joe Linton, which was a really impressive strike. And the first half, let's be honest, Milan struggled a bit, didn't really turn up. But the second half, in a very intimidating stadium, Milan put things right, and Christian Pulisic changed the course of the season, because at a certain point at half-time it was looking very dark for Milan's European future. But then Pulisic did the business, but the best was yet to come.
Adriano, what do you think about the game against Newcastle?
Sheridan has summed it up very well so far. Obviously, the best was yet to come. Chukwueze just coming off the bench, and moments later, sealing the winner. And look, it was a dramatic 90 minutes of football. It really was. And of course, at this moment here, Milan leading the match for the first time on the night, there was suddenly one eye in Germany, because obviously if Dortmund could score one very late on, it would mean that Milan would have gone through to the round of 16 of the UEFA Champions League. It wasn't to be in the end, but I can tell you guys, I was watching both games very closely, making sure that I was keeping my eye on exactly what was happening in Germany, and there was a half chance very late to Marco Reus for Dortmund. It didn't come off in the end, but look, now Milan do go into a very interesting Europa League. There are a number of really notable clubs in that competition, and it's going to be a great competition, I think, to complement Serie A, to complement what's to come. So still European football is still a very important competition. But look, in the end, I think when we sit back now and reflect on this group, it was a group of death, level on points with Paris Saint-Germain in the end, but a couple of disappointments when we look back. Obviously, those first two match days, no goal, only the two draws, and a lot of dominance in those first two match days. So look, heads held high going out, but on another day, it could have been qualification to the round of 16. But a great response from the second half against Newcastle, nevertheless, which I take great confidence from going into the back end now of the calendar year.
So let's move on in Europe with the Europa League. What do you think about this new fixture, this new adventure that our Rossoneri awaits for the new year, Sheridan?
Well, I mean, we often talk about Milan's European DNA, but it is one trophy missing from the huge trophy cabinet here at Casa Milan. The Europa League used to be the UEFA Cup. It would be a feather to Milan's cap if they can win this trophy. The best teams in it probably, or the favourites, are probably Liverpool, who are another historical European team, like Milan. Bayer Leverkusen, who at this moment are going very well. AS Roma as well, who we know very well from Serie A. So it's a competition with pedigree, and it's a tournament with history, and it will be something very, very good to aim for. So there might be some disappointment out of the Champions League, it's true, but the Europa League would still be something very, very cool to win.
Adriano, what do you think?
No, I agree. I think, look, Sheridan's listed some of the clubs there. There are some really important clubs playing, which means some important matches to come, which means more important nights at San Siro, which I think is really important, again, for this newer squad. Again, we talk about the turnover. It is still early in the campaign. So I am excited for the second half of the season. And do not underestimate ranking points, coefficient points in UEFA European football. Going into next season, whatever happens next season, the more points that can be picked up and gained in UEFA competitions will hold Milan in better stead going into next season's competition. So every match counts, really important. As Sheridan said, another trophy up for grabs. Always important that this club is competing on all fronts.
Partial success after the game against Newcastle because our Rossoneri are leaving the Champions League. It was not an easy night for Rossoneri fans and not for the Rossoneri on the pitch, but let's start from our head coach Stefano Pioli post-match reaction. Let's listen.
Ha dimostrato di essere una squadra che ci crede, di essere una squadra che può giocare a certi livelli. Chiaro che è una vittoria amara, perché uscire dalla Champions non era il nostro obiettivo, non era quello che volevamo e dispiace in questo momento avere dei rimpianti, perché credo che per le partite che abbiamo giocato, soprattutto all'inizio del girone, meritavamo di più se avessimo avuto quell'efficacia, quella qualità o a volte anche quella determinazione che ci avrebbe permesso di ottenere una vittoria che avremmo meritato, soprattutto mi riferisco alla prima partita in casa con Newcastle, dove avevamo giocato una partita a livello tecnico nettamente superiore dei nostri avversari, creando delle situazioni clamorose che non siamo riusciti a sfruttare. Però è chiaro che è una vittoria che ci deve dare a me, ma io non ho bisogno, nel senso che io ho sempre creduto che questa squadra ha un grande potenziale. Sono dispiaciuto quando non riusciamo a metterlo in campo o quando non siamo riusciti a metterlo in campo con continuità, e quindi questo ci deve aiutare invece adesso a buttarci nel campionato, dove in questo momento dobbiamo assolutamente consolidare e fortificare il terzo posto per poi sperare trovando una continuità di vittorie o di risultati, di poter pensare anche a qualcosa di più.
A little sadness in Pioli's words. Maybe they could do something in the two first matches of this Champions League, and now there's Europa League.
Yeah, I think it's natural that there's a tinge of sadness, a tinge of regret, because the damage was done, I think, in those two goalless draws at the beginning of the group stage. And as the boss said, Milan were the better team against Newcastle at San Siro, but couldn't put the ball in the nets, and sometimes it's the very, very fine margins that cause disappointments. But as he said, it's the team now need to regroup and focus on Serie A, focus on Europe, and then try and do something special in the Europa League.
Adriano?
Yes, look, I think the frustration is understandable. Frustration, a bit of sadness and disappointment, because you can highlight some of those moments. Yes, the opening two fixtures, the two goalless draws where there were a number of golden opportunities to break the deadlock, especially match day 1 against Newcastle. You can even go to match day 5, Paris Saint-Germain, Newcastle, Kylian Mbappe's late penalty, which obviously changed a result, which had it gone the other way, Milan's win at Newcastle would have been enough to progress. But as Mr. Pioli did say, it's now time to look forward, Europa League to come, take the positives from that second half and the win, because Sheridan said it every week, but going to Newcastle, it's not an easy place. To come away with all 3 points after going down, that shows great character. And again, I do take a lot of confidence from that team. He still believes in his group. And look, I'm sure off the back of that, we'll see great performances. But I think it is a sign of how far this group have come, because that was the group of death. And to go out so narrowly, level on points with Paris Saint-Germain, it still was a good effort, despite the disappointments, of course.
The MVP against the Magpies, Tijani Reinders, spoke to Milan TV cameras. Let's listen to his words together.
You hope to that other game had a different result, but yeah, we stay in Europe, and that was today the most important thing. We love the fans, how they support us, and yeah, we need them every game, and yeah, with them we have an extra man on the field. It was a very strong group. I think we had to manage the games before better to concede to get more points, but unfortunately it didn't happen. But in the end, yeah, we are still in Europe, and yeah, that's a good thing.
AC Milan are back in Serie A with lunchtime kickoff on Sunday against Galliani's Monza. What we can expect, Sheridan?
Well, Monza last season returned to Serie A, and they actually were the revelation team. They had some very eye-catching results. This season, I think they've lost a bit of their shine, and they're in 9th place. They're mid-table, so they're going fairly well, but I don't think perhaps other teams have worked out how to stop them or how to make them less effective. So they're not as impressive as they were last year, but they won their last game against Genoa, I believe. So they'll be in high spirits. So I think it will be a difficult match. It'll be a lunchtime treat for many people across the world to watch. And I think it'll be an exciting game. Milan now have got this pause without European football where they can focus on domestic action, as we said. So I think it will be exactly that. I think it'll be a lunchtime treat, Alicia.
Adriano, it will be for sure a not easy fixture against Adriano Galliani's club.
Well, it won't be, and against one of the young hot managers in Italian football as well, as you can see there. It's a team that have impressed and have been very tough to beat. This is a team that have only been beaten in 2 of their last 12 matches, and very narrowly and very late on against Roma and Juventus. So certainly a team that must be respected. And obviously, look, a lot of love and respect between Galliani, between Milan, Monza. This is the two clubs that know each other very, very well. Well, it's a lunchtime kickoff for you, Sheridan. Here, it's a nice evening kickoff in my side of the world, so very much looking forward to tuning in. But look, as we always discuss, off the back of a Champions League fixture, only a few days after the midweek match, to obviously travel back from Newcastle, recover, preparation is going to be absolutely key. Of course, Milan do come in as favourites with respect to Monza's recent form, but certainly after what we saw in the second half in England midweek, we are expecting that good form to continue here.
Well done, that's all for our rossoneri for Pioli's side. Let's move on with our women's team. Sheridan, what happened against Roma?
Well, Licia, it was a defeat that we perhaps feared, but the performance was key. And Mr. Cortes, young ladies, gave a good account of themselves against a very good team, perhaps the finest team in Italian women's football. A 2-1 loss there, but actually it was Milan who took the lead and showed some signs of progress and development under their new boss. This is the opening goal. There was a foul committed there, so it was a penalty for Milan in the white away kit, in case you're wondering. And this is the incident. Having Staskova having her leg hooked away. So the penalty was taken by the ice-cool Aslani, and she is a death sentence from the penalty spot. She never misses, and she gave Milan the lead. A bit of a shock lead, you might say, but a brilliant penalty. But then Roma came back, as I think we knew they would, and they showed that they are the champions, worthy champions of Italian women's football.
Adriano, did you see a balanced match against Roma? What do you think about it?
Of course, Licia. Of course, look, as we discussed, still early in the tenure of the new boss here. And again, this was never going to be an easy match against a team now who are not only the force in the domestic competition, but a Roma team who are performing very well in the UEFA Women's Champions League as well. So, look, while disappointing to go ahead and ultimately lose the match, again, it's the early stages of the tenure here. It was a match where, points, a result were going to be hard to come by, but we did see an improved performance. And now going into the more winnable fixtures, again, with respect to the opponents to come, I think matching the reigning champions and the clear best team in Italy at this point in time, the ladies will take great confidence for it going forward.
But our rossoneri have already the opportunity to bounce back to the winning ways thanks for the game against Napoli. What about the difficulties?
Yeah, I think that on paper, and we say this every week, on paper, Milan should be too strong for Napoli, but we know that football is unpredictable, and you always show respect for your opponent, as Adriano said. But I think this is a fixture at home against a team that I would say don't have the same technical level as Milan. I think this is a match that the Rossonere can win. I hope those are not famous last words. I don't want to tempt fate, but I think this could be a chance. We hope this is a chance, as you can see there from the table. Napoli are 10th or bottom. We hope this is the launch pad for the Davide Corti era. This is the ignition for this new phase of the Milan Femminile.
Adriano, we are at the end of this first part of the season. What do you think about the growth that our Rossoneri are living?
Well, look, obviously, as we can see from the standings, 6th place at the moment, narrowly outside the top half of the standings. We know what happens in the midway point of the season when there is a championship group and the relegation group. So it's very important that Sheridan has said, we hope. I think we need to expect this weekend, with respect to the opponent in Napoli, that we see maximum points and start to climb the standings. These are the matches that simply must be won if the Rossoneri want to get in that top half and obviously keep their chances of playing in the Champions League next season alive. We know that a top 2 spot will see them finish in that place and earn that right, but certainly still a lot of work to do, but plenty of time. The season is still young, plenty of time to turn it around, but that simply must start this weekend against Napoli.
Well, so good luck to our Rossoneri for the match against Napoli. Now let's move on to our under-19s. In this first part of the Youth League, where under-19s ended with a defeat against Newcastle, but this first part of the season they collected great results also in Europe because their adventure there continues.
Yeah, the match in midweek against Newcastle United was basically not important in the sense that Milan were already through as winners. So it would have been nice to go out for a win, but it wasn't essential. And Mr. Abate changed the team. The central defence looked very different, gave a chance to some players who don't normally have too many minutes. So it was one of those defeats, it's a rare thing in football, but one of those defeats that isn't too disappointing because the hard work had been done in the previous 5 matches in the UEFA Youth League. So, you know, it was nice for Newcastle to get a victory in the UEFA Youth League because they'd had a tough time of it. And at the end of the match, Mr. Abate and the Newcastle head coach, Ben Dawson, they had a nice embrace and they had a few laughs. And it wasn't a tragedy or no dramas, as they say, because this match really had very little riding on it. This was the first goal, rather fortunate. This is Mattia Liberali with a good effort. I think the Newcastle keeper perhaps might feel a bit, might regret that. But that was in the first half and Milan went into the interval 1-0 up. But we'll have another look at it again. And you have to feel a bit for the goalkeeper. But after the interval, Newcastle, I think, thought to themselves, let's go out with a smile on a high. And they went into overdrive, the English side. This is still some action from the first half. Milan wearing the very exciting and very popular 3rd kit. And it looked very comfortable for Milan. But like I say, in the second half, I think Newcastle just decided to try and put a bit of pride back into their campaign. And these are their goals that came in quite quick succession.
Adriano, what do you think about the match against Newcastle?
Well, look, obviously, when you get yourself in a position like Abate's boys did, where the group was won, progression was sealed, you were afforded that option to change the pack around a little. And obviously, it will be disappointing here going ahead at Newcastle. And then, well, according to the scoreline, comfortably losing in the end. But look, it's a wonderful launch pad, this group stage, because they've done very well. Again, in, of course, a difficult group. Dortmund and Paris Saint-Germain, both very, very talented at youth level. And now they take plenty of confidence going back into the knockout stages of the competition that they got to know very, very well last season. So I am super excited to see what they're capable of doing this season because we know that they went very deep. Can they go a step or 2 further? I cannot wait to follow their progress.
Talking about Primavera 1, our Rossoneri gained a very important winning result against Genoa, but I would like to focus on the exciting fixture of this weekend, the derby against Inter, Sheridan.
It's always a huge match, whether it's the Primavera, the women or the men. It's very exciting and there's a lot riding on it this weekend because it's a type of winner-takes-all that if Milan beat their cousins, the Nerazzurri, Milan will jump back to top spot. So there's so much motivation the team will still be buzzing from the victory last weekend in the Primavera Liga 1. So it's a good moment. The Newcastle defeat won't have too much effect on them, so we can all sit back and look forward to it. This is the match against Genoa, and a different lineup to the one that played in the UEFA Youth League. And the team from Liguria actually took the lead, a bit like against... in recent weeks, the team have struggled somewhat domestically, and it did look for a moment, it was a concern that there might be another defeat against a so-called lesser team, with all due respect. However, the young Rossoneri fired back. This is a super poacher's goal from the man of the moment, Francesco Camarda. His movement is incredible, really is a star. I'm sure Adriano will agree that this is the goal of a real goal scorer who's got goals in their blood.
Of course, Sheridan. It's crazy to think how young he is. He's even still young for the Primavera, but obviously another goal that goes in there. And wonderful scenes, and of course it's great to see how tight it is up the top of the Primavera standings. So there's plenty of competition. Of course, the derby this weekend will be very exciting, and you are right in saying, Sheridan, irrespective of whatever level, always a wonderful moment when Milan and Inter take to the pitch.
So with that aside, we come to the end of this weekly episode. I would like to say thank you to my two AC Milan Talk friends. Thanks to Adriano Del Monte.
Thank you, Licia. Thank you, Sheridan. You guys know always my favourite time of the week.
And thanks to Sheridan Bird.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Good to see everyone, and see you all soon.
Dear Rossoneri, see you next week for the last episode of this 2023. We are going to talk about always of our favorite team. See you next week with our AC Milan Talk. Ciao.